Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Charles back with another video for Black and Blue TV. When you guys get a chance, please like, share, and subscribe to the content because I'm coming out with more playoff reviews for this weekend, as well as some offseason reviews for the NFC East. And today, I'd like to touch on the Washington Commanders. Now, the Commanders were 8-1 this season. Unfortunately, they were 500. They did have a chance to make the postseason this year, but unfortunately, they came up short, which is okay. Because there were a lot of deficiencies within that offense, especially with the running game. And this article today from the Washington Commanders website, speaks volumes to addressing this need for the offensive coordinator position. Now, the article says Commanders set to interview Thomas Brown for the offensive coordinator position. And for those of you who do not know Thomas Brown, um, he he was a Los Angeles Rams assistant head coach and tight ends coach. Um, and when he first joined the NFL coaching ranks in 2020, the Rams they actually hired him as a running backs coach. Now, with Brown, he actually has 12 seasons of experience, most of which comes from the college level. He's coached for 6 programs, including Georgia, which he had 2 stints at, the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, Marshall, Wisconsin, Miami, and South Carolina. Now, for Browns, history in the NFL, he's played 3 seasons at the running back position. He was drafted in the 6th round in 2008, and he spent time with, the Cleveland Browns and also Atlanta Falcons. Now, for his collegiate career, he was a huge contributor to Georgia. He rushed for 2,646 yards during his career, and he scored 25 total touchdowns. It's pretty good in the SEC because the SEC is highly competitive. Um, as a NFL coach, he has a strong start to his professional career. Um, One of the things to the Rams' success is that the running game, and to see that Brown, helped Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson, rush for 2,018 yards during his first season with the organization shows a lot because the Commanders are lacking, the consistent run game. They didn't have that this year, and I think that attributed to them not being able to make the postseason. I think this would be a good hire for you guys. This guy has a good resume. You know, he has a lot of experience at the collegiate level and also the NFL. And the reason for that's so good, excuse me, is because, when young guys come in, it seems like he could be more relatable to them and get the best out of them. You know, Starting for the Rams and, getting 2,000 rushing yards out of your running back, excuse me, speaks volumes. And even though each of them rushed for 600 yards and combined for 7 touchdowns, imagine what Brian Robinson can do, you know, under the realm of Thomas Brown. You know, and I think this is a great hire. I'm not going to go over the full article, but I think the Commanders are stepping in the right direction, and this is something that's much needed because in order to make the playoffs, you have to have a consistent running game. And I think this is a great start. Um, but also, too, I'd like to look at some of the upcoming free agents for you guys. And some of the names that pops out is definitely Deron Payne. Deron Payne, he's about 25, turning 26. I think you guys need to find a way to sign him back because he is a good defensive tackle. He definitely could, clog up the run, and he's good in pass rushing situations. Another person I think you guys need to sign is this guy right here. Now, I do not know if you guys are going to franchise tag him. I really would hope not because as a Cowboys fan, I mean, of course, I do not like the Commanders, but I do like this guy and Taylor Heineke. And I don't think he's getting a fair shake in Washington. If you believe in a quarterback, show that you believe in him. Don't just sign him for 1 year, then you bench him, and then you bring him back. I understand the signing of Carson Wentz, but let's be clear, that did not work out for you guys. So, so why even try to entertain that? You know what I mean? And the players play behind Heineke. They love Heineke. All the reports I was reading during the season about how they stand by Heineke, whether they win, lose, or draw, because To me, Heineke has that X factor. Maybe he doesn't have the arm talent like, a Patrick Mahomes or a Josh Allen, but he really wants to get it done, and he really wants to improve. And I think that if you believe in a guy like this, he can definitely make it happen for the receivers, especially Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, and so forth. You know, the Commanders actually have a good nucleus in the skill positions on offense. They just drafted a running back in Brian Robinson. They also have good receivers, like I said, in Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson. And I think all you need to do is draft a couple of linemen, a couple of young linemen, the left tackle position specifically, and also that right guard position as well. And I think you guys will definitely have a great year next year if your front office knows what they're doing. And looking at the depth chart of the Commanders, I do see, of course, Brian Robinson as a starter. Now, if Thomas Brown is hired, I think that he's going to get the most out of J.D. McKissick and Antonio Gibson. Of course, these guys, they were riddled with injuries. However, if you have these three running backs in Gibson, McKissick, and Brian Robinson, I think the Commanders are going to be a force to be reckoned with. And I look at the receiver position. Of course, you have Terry McLaurin and the Jahan Dotson, but there's another guy I'd like to talk about as well, and that's De'Ami Brown. I really like De'Ami Brown. I think De'Ami Brown can be definitely a great slot receiver. He has great speed. You know, he runs his routes very well, and it will take a lot of pressure off of Jahan and Terry because those guys, of course, one-on-one coverage, they're pretty much unstoppable, when consistent. Now, I look at the tight end area and I do see Logan Thomas. I think he just needs to stay healthy. But I think you guys really need a legitimate second tight end. Somebody that could take some of the pressure off of Logan Thomas, that's a really good run blocker, but also is able to, receive as well. Whether it's, a short out route or whether it's the middle of the field where most tight ends really, make their money. Um, but guys, I just wanted to go over a quick overview of the Commanders. I think the future is bright for you guys, and you guys are stepping in the right direction by getting an offensive coordinator that can really, really, allow these guys to flourish in their particular offensive scheme. I think the Commanders need to have a run-heavy offense and to allow both of these guys to have one-on-one coverage when they put eight in the box. Because let's say if you guys running game is flourishing during a prime time game. Now they have to put eight men in the box. What are you going to do? You can't guard Terry McLaurin one on one. He's going to eat you alive. And Jahan Dotson, we all saw what he can do. And you have De'Ami Brown, who I think is very underrated. As well as I forgot about him, Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel, I think, had a great season. You guys can utilize these weapons and get the most out of them, but you got to implement the run game first, and it starts with Brian Robinson. Unfortunately for Brian Robinson this year, he had a tough start. Of course, we're not going to speak of that incident that happened before the season, but it was really good to see him on the field because I really want to see what this guy can do, and I think he'll definitely be a heavy contributor next year, especially in that run game. But anyways, guys, that's all I had for today. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to the content. As I'll be coming out with more videos. And thank you guys again for watching. You guys take it easy.